K-Rock Cast, the podcast where music and perspectives collide.
I'm Anne, a music lover who's the ultimate fan.
And I'm Kelly, a professional musician. Join us as we dive into the world of the Rose and other Korean and Asian rock bands.
Sometimes we'll agree, sometimes we'll wildly disagree, but what's guaranteed is a passionate, hilarious, and unfiltered conversation about the music that unites us and the bands that inspire us.
Surprise, surprise. I'm back.
Surprise! Listeners, we are back with a special episode called Into the Spoiler King. I'll tell you, listeners, Sammy regained his crown this week. I mean, I did say in the last episode, Sammy, if you're listening, I gave his crown to Hajuni because Hajuni was keeping us alive the last 4 months. We know Sammy's jealous. He might have heard that and he took it to heart. He regained that crown back. We have a mountain of information to dig into. And Black Roses, I hope you're now recovering, kind of letting all of that settle. We had to do this special episode because we finally have information about the Roses' comeback. And one of the things, Kelly, that I think you and I have continued to talk about in text since we saw Sammy's live stream is how much information we have talked about on this podcast in the last, I don't even know how many episodes we're at now, that he said. Like, we have been so right. These are all things that we've been talking about, but in kind of a creepy way that it almost sounded like he's listened to us. See, you're laughing because I know that you think that they listen. The Rose listens to this podcast. I'm in denial. I don't think they know we exist. I think we're still flying under the radar. And
Well, look, come on. It's either that or I'm doing a Mystic Meg and I've got my crystal ball out.
I know. And I'm telling you, listeners, it's not just Kelly and I thinking, that, oh, he's saying the same things we've said. We literally had shout out to one of our most loyal listeners and followers on Instagram, Magnus Vaughn. She even commented to me, like, these are all the things that you've said in the podcast. So one of our listeners even felt like it was creepily similar. And so I have to tell this story, listeners, because you guys probably know by now, Kelly calls me weird, right? Because I live in this delusional fantasy world. And I've got this delusional fantasy now that the Rose listens to our podcast. I'm going to set the scene. This is the scene in my head. They're in the Windfall office on a Saturday night because they've got nothing better to do because they're ajaxes. They're not going out in the club anymore. They're too old for that. So they've got the newest episode of K-Rock Cast that just came out that Thursday. They open the suljang, they've got their whiskey. They're sitting around listening to our episode. And I can imagine how each person is what they're doing. So let's start with Leo. Okay. Leo Kelly would be what? He would be so extra, right?
Oh, of course. Definitely.
Right. Leo is laughing at everything we say. He's going, oh, every time we roast somebody. He's just loving it, right?
Which is every 4 seconds, because if you've not noticed, I like to get the gas fired up.
Yeah, you do tend to get the gas fired up every couple. Yeah. So Leo's loving it. Then let's go to Sammy. What do you think Sammy does as he listens to this podcast?
What do you think Sammy does when I start going, that fucking bitch is doing it again?
I imagine Sammy yells back at us. I think he talks back to us. I think he disagrees with what we say. And I think he's arguing back to just the air.
Oh,
Then
sorry.
I think he yells to Clive across the office and demands that they email us because we're spreading lies. And he'd be like, but they were pleading vocals. Clive, email them. They called me a whiny bitch. And Clive's going, ande, ande. No, you can't engage. No, we can't email them, Sammy. Then it's Jaehyun. I think Jaehyun is quiet until we do a roast on somebody, and then he throws in a silent dagger just right afterwards. He just digs in a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly. Why not? I mean, that's what you have to do, isn't it?
And then finally is Hajuni. Imagine Hajun sits in the corner with the biggest smug smile on his face.
Yeah, and we know why, don't we? Because all you do is sing his praises.
All we do is sing his praises the entire episode, and we never say anything bad about him.
Well, why would we want to?
No, there is nothing bad to say about
We don't need to say anything negative at all.
Not at all. Not at all. So this is like this is a picture I have in my mind. I know I'm delusional.
I love your little delusional head. I do.
I know.
It's fabulous. I do love it.
It is fabulous. Well, I still think, we are flying under the radar. And so I'll just continue to say, like I say in every episode, the Rose, if you're listening, maybe one day. But guys, we are going to go through and we're going to break down all this information we've learned and talk about all the things that we have said. We have said so many things on the podcast that are right in line with the direction of where they're going, things that they shared, things that Sammy shared in his live. So I don't know whether Kelly is a mystic, a witch that can tell the future, or we're just so in sync with them. Maybe it's more evidence, Kelly, they need to hire us.
Of course. I mean, honestly, I haven't practiced anything on the Sabbath for a while.
Yeah.
Which I'm not, honestly.
Yeah, you're not a sightseer or soothsayer or whatever. I
literally have Monty Python going through my head now. I've literally got, she's a witch! How do you know she's a witch? Because she looks like
one! Okay, well, listeners, this is a special episode, so we're not going to do a separate hot takes. We're not going to wrap up with a would you rather. We're just going to do a deep dive, and we are just going to dig into all the information that we've learned. So we're going to kind of start chronologically. A lot went down in the last 48 hours. This is March 28th when we're recording, and I think like shit started to hit the fan on, I think it
didn't even hit the fan. This splattered.
Yes. So let's start with the Summer Sonic Bangkok Music Festival announced on March 24th that the Rose would be performing. This was exciting for Black Roses, right? We weren't expecting another festival, though it's a little odd because this one does overlap in dates with the La 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 Fest.
That isn't unusual though. So what tends to happen is a lot of festivals tend to sort of hit at very specific weekends. Festivals hit on what we refer to in the UK as the August bank holiday. So that's the time of year when you have Leeds and Reading Festival going on. But you also have festivals in France as well, and also in the Netherlands. So what you tend to find is the artists that play at one will also make an appearance at the others, because it's such a short hop between them. So it's not unusual. It is a run-of-the-mill music thing. You do, if it's close by, you'll travel to the next festival. You hit them all together.
Yeah, I think like all the big names like Black Eyed Peas, Kamea Cabello, they're all playing at both. So on their website, Summer Sonic Bangkok has a bio of each band. And fans noticed, and I know where I first saw it was somebody posted on the Rosarium, that there was actually a description of the upcoming album, and it says, quote, their upcoming album, WRLD, promises to blend familiar early sounds with fresh sonic landscapes and genres. Fans can look forward to country-inspired melodies and themes of reflection and coming of age. And so, wow, people on the Rosarium in particular were like, what? Yeah, they were kind of upset. A lot of fans were like, wait a second. How are we, one, hearing about this from a music festival's bio and not from the rose? And where the fuck did world come from? Because we thought it was going to begin with an R. So people were like really upset. And I guess, I mean, I'm going to assume, the Rose members saw that. And I think that was a lot of what drove Sammy to come on the Rosarium live stream the next day. But I think what we both knew, like you and I realized this was not intentional. So
No,
I
it
think
wasn't. Not at all.
this is an example of a miscommunication between the Rose's PR team and Summer Sonic Bangkok. So I think it was completely unintentional to release this. This is the kind of press release information that would have been provided to Summer Sonic. I think where miscommunication occurred was when to release that information, like when Summer Sonic should appropriately put it out. Because obviously we heard from Sammy, they had all of this planned for a formal announcement. And so they would have been embargoed, Summer Sonic, to not do that.
They would have been under embargo, which it is a major thing in the music industry.
So why don't you explain what that means to our listeners, Kelly?
So an embargo is something that is placed within the terms and conditions when you sign basically any piece of information. Obviously, from my background working sort of behind the scenes in music, I used to deal with embargoes a lot because we were dealing with the on sale of ticketed events. We knew in advance for months who were playing at the venue. Months, I mean literally, we could know a year in advance, but we couldn't let anybody know because we were under strict embargo. So there was a specific date that information was released. Now, jumping ahead a little bit, we've got the roadmap now, so you'll be aware of what this marketing schedule is as such. And nobody can release that information until the band gives the go-ahead. This is strictly shown on any press release, on any form of communication, on any terms and conditions. Embargo is a really big thing. So the press release will have been given to the festival organisers. The festival organisers will have uploaded it, not necessarily paying any attention to the embargo date on it, because obviously that little bit of information has just passed through. It's just a miscommunication. It does occasionally happen, but it is one of those things that can throw a little bit of chaos into the works. And what you tend to find is embargo works on the bigger of the people. So when it's a festival, the embargo sits with the actual festival. So I do see a lot of people say, why haven't they announced this on the Rosarium? Why haven't they announced this festival? Well, the Rose can't announce the festival because the Rose would have been under embargo with the festival. The festival being the bigger of the two creatures, they have to announce it first, then the Rose get to announce it afterwards. Yeah. And I mean, technically, they've still not announced it, even now. But I think that's probably an oversight with everything else that's happening. And for the example of the information of the actual record, its release, what it sounds like, the embargo would have been the 27th of March. And obviously, they just kind of overstepped that and put that information out. And that's what it is.
Yeah. And I think it kind of got combined with another piece of information that circulated about the Rose, where fans of an artist, Daesung from Big Bang, Daesung announced on March 18th that he's releasing actually his first EP. It's called D's Wave. It's going to be released on April 8th. Now, Daesung, I'm not too familiar with Big Bang, but some fans of the Rose may remember he had on a YouTube show commented about the Rose, and Sammy I think made a comment under there. So I mean there was kind of some mutual love seen between these artists, and someone posted on Instagram, it was unconfirmed, that there is a song in which the Rose is featured. I could not substantiate that they are actually a featured artist. I could substantiate that they co-wrote a song with Daesung, and the song is called Us at That Time. We'll just have to wait and, see the formal track release if they're actually a featured artist or just co-wrote, that song, because they obviously write for a lot of other artists.
Yeah, they do.
So it's not uncommon for them to write for another artist, but I'm not sure if they're actually going to be featured on the song or not. So I think fans saw that circulating around and they wondered, well, why is nobody formally saying anything about this? And then they saw the information about the new album title. And I think it just caused a huge stir. And Sammy then felt very compelled to come on the Rosarium.
Yeah, thanks for that, Sam, at like 7:15 in the morning. Touch up.
Yeah, he jumped on the Rosarium. Now we're at March 27th, and he basically joined to say he wanted to apologize. He felt there were two big things that he said. First, he apologized about this information miscommunication. I think he explained that it wasn't intentional, and that the information he talked about now all the hard work that had been going in by the team for this roadmap that was being released at midnight on the night of March 28th, just about 8 hours from when he was doing his live stream. And yeah, that it was just kind of a misalignment, a miscommunication. It wasn't intentional, but he still wanted to apologize for that. And then also apologize for not releasing the album, as he said, in February. And gave us a lot of spoilers, a little bit of background as to why. So I think we're going to spend a majority of this kind of deep dive, like just really digging into some of the things that he shared. And I thought it was so cute because he said that while he was sorry he couldn't keep his promise of February, it made him feel so good that all the Black Roses got really excited about something coming out. And so it made him feel good that, and he appreciated that we've been waiting. I thought that was nice, Kelly.
Yeah, it was very sweet. And you could see he generally meant it as well. So that's lovely to see.
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk a little bit about some interesting language he said. So he said that it wasn't on purpose for them to delay, and he referred to technical issues and timing issues. But then he revealed that there was a different idea for the album. What he said in the 7th anniversary live back in August of 2024 that the title would begin with an R. It wasn't a lie. I think the title initially was under this other kind of sound and concept was an R. And they had all these songs ready, but then they decided to go in a different direction. So I don't know. I think you and I were talking before we recorded about just his use of language of technical issues and timing. Yeah. What's your thought there?
I don't know. I've got ideas in the back of my head, but I don't know whether I want to sort of openly discuss those as such.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. So technical issues, I mean, it's not like the studio burnt down.
Yeah.
I mean, it's terrible to say because I know people in LA who did lose those studios. So, I mean, that's terrible, but we know they were recording over in Seoul. So, yeah, I mean, I find it a bit of a strange one, to be honest. I mean, so technical issues normally denote something in the physical recording of.
Yeah.
Or it could denote something that was happening in the background with companies and partnerships.
Yeah.
So I'm not 100% sure what it is. There was something there that created some form of issue that they've had to work against.
Yeah.
Timing issues, fair enough. I've spoken about this before. There's very specific windows that you tend to release stuff. If you are a brand new artist, you tend to go January, March. That's your release time to be a brand new artist. If you're a mid artist, you can go January through to the end of May, which is what we now know as we get onto it later on is what they're doing. you don't do anything during the summer. Summer's festival season. People don't generally buy albums.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you dance into whatever truly atrocious dance track has suddenly come out during the summer, whether, you know, and what stupid dance craze goes with it. So that's what tends to happen during the summer. And then from September to the beginning of December, that's when your big hitters put out albums.
Mm-hmm.
That's major label time. And then the run up to Christmas is a bit of a weird one, really, because it's sort of a greatest hits time.
Yeah, I mean, here's number one. Here's number one area where we were right? We talked about the timing. You and I knew it wasn't going to be February. Like we said, you know.
I'm quite happy I said May.
Yeah, you said. You were like, basically, like could be like end of May. And then here we are at the end of May. So that was like number one. Like we totally called that.
Let me polish my crystal ball. I did say ball, not balls.
But I know, like I thought, here we go. We got it. We said it. I was latching on more to kind of when you talked about the change in direction. And that's where I feel like, again, I'm going back to when I first thought of where they were going, and my prediction for the R title was Rise. I said that because if you think of where they were at that point, they were on this, I think I said this words, like they were on this precipice of really being huge. I feel like they had the most success they ever saw with the dual album. They had a crossover hit with Back to Me. Mm-hmm. That album was purposely, the sound sonically was loud, in your face, bright, complex. They hit Billboard number 83 in the top 200. I mean, that was huge for them in terms of an accomplishment. And it sounded, I said like Rise because I felt like they're only going higher, right? And that's like where they were. Yeah. And when he said that, I felt like that was the initial direction of that album. It was something bigger, something better, something more in your face. Yeah. And then for whatever reason, I think they decided to strip it back, which goes to what you and I said when we saw the teaser of the Rose Star. You literally said the words, strip back to rock, back to their roots. We talked about this songwriting session in Busan. What did that mean? Home. We talked about them leaning into the Heal album, and that always that sound is what they go back to. And that is what they've gone back to, Kelly. Like we said all this. I was just blown away because I was like, holy fuck. Like we literally said all of this on the podcast.
Yeah. Anybody think I knew what I was on about sometimes?
I know. I'm like, you were fucking right. But I'm going to say, like, okay, here we go. Rose, if you're listening, you know.
Oh God.
So when they're sitting in the office right now and they're taking a drink,
they're all sat around drinking the whiskey.
They're all sitting around like she's drinking that whiskey. I think your name choice though, WRLD, I still think your name of Root would have fit better personally.
Yeah. Possibly, but I think they've gone with WRLD because, as he mentions later on in the actual live, that's the title track. They do have a habit of kind of using title tracks somewhere in what they're doing.
We'll talk about this. We're going to break each of the songs down that he sampled for us. I think and we've got some hot takes. Oh my God, I'm so excited to share our theories because I think we are so right. And I think nobody else has these theories. So
we've been messaging each other all day and I was just going, oh my God, and listen to this.
We have some really hot takes, listeners, but I think now that you're saying that, well, I need to let Root go and let it go. Okay, let's let that shit go.
However, he does mention Root so many times
in the live stream
during the live.
I know.
And Root is mentioned over and over and over again.
I know. That's why I was like, that would have been a perfect name. But I think WRLD is coming in with the themes of what they're going to be talking about
correct.
and the
Yeah,
message behind the music. So I think that's where that's coming from.
Yeah, it has, definitely, yeah.
All right. The next section, I was like, Kelly, we've got to give I just love this man so much. His rant. I didn't realize, Sammy, I didn't realize you were so touchy about the Rose Star. Apparently, some of the feedback you've heard hit a nerve.
It may have niggled him ever so slightly.
I don't know where he's been hearing this negative feedback, because I don't think I've seen any negative feedback.
No, I don't think I have. I think there were a couple of sort of queries of how do you hold it? And I'm thinking to myself, it's a fucking guitar. How the hell do you think you hold it?
Yeah, I was like, who are you hearing this from? Are these people in your life? Because if they are, I would question your friend choices.
Yeah, question your life choices, definitely.
like Sammy, if you've got friends that don't know how to hold that Rose Star, you might want to move on from those friends. Because
yes, possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember seeing some rather usual sarcastic sort of memes pop up and bits and pieces like that, but I can't remember seeing anything like drastically negative about them. I mean, I freely admit, and I've said this on the podcast, I don't get the whole sort of light stick thing. It's a weird thing to me, but I'm from the world of mosh pits and cigarette lighters and fucking whatchamacallit, bloody glow sticks and stuff like that. Because I mean, you go to a rave, it's a glow stick.
You literally, he used in his in his rant that turned into an infomercial.
Don't even get me started. That man could pitch ice to Eskimos at Dragon's Den.
His rant that turned infomercial at some point. I was like, how did we take this turn? But he used your example, Kelly.
$9.99.
Kelly, I know, right? Here, he used your example, though. He used your example. I swear you said this on the podcast about it in your hand and it could fly out of your hand.
Yeah.
He used that example.
Around the head, because I have been hit around the head with a fucking light stick before now.
It was hysterical. Then he said exactly again what we said on the podcast. He talked about he's so proud of it.
About this.
He's so proud of it because it's so unique. And we said that.
It is. I will give him that. It is really unique.
We said that the Rose Star looks like everyone else's light stick. I think I literally quoted it was exactly like 17's light stick. And then that the only other group that has a unique light stick is Epic High. And what did he say? He said the other group that has a unique light stick is Epic High. And I love that he had it like in arm's length. Is it just sitting around the office where it was like he could get it in 2 seconds? It was like an arm's length from him.
You know it's sat on the shelf, don't you? You know it's his prized bloody possession. It's sat on his little award shelf at the background. Because, Epic High gave him one, didn't he? Bless. Which, I mean, yeah. I mean, it's the only I've ever thought of buying, to be honest.
Literally we said that in the podcast. That we would want him to have it, and then it was so nice that he got it. But there again, I couldn't believe that he used the same language that we did. Same thing.
Well, I mean, it is a common language, so there is always a chance, It's
okay.
gonna happen.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. The other part of that I just love to pieces is like him. This is when he went into infomercial mode where he talked about the DIY strap. You can like design your own strap.
I love the idea to you. I love the idea though that he's decided he's having a metal strap. He's suddenly going Peter Steele from Typo Negative.
I know. I found that so funny. This metal silver strap that he's going to make for himself. It's like, he's so funny.
I mean, literally, is he going to run around his apartment? Just now I've said that, he is.
He's so funny. I love that he like just kept saying. I love that he calls things fucking cute. Like to me, that's just like the funniest thing. He's like, this is so fucking cute.
Yeah, it's honestly, I mean, it was the fact it was like, you can wear it here, or you can wear it here, or you can wear it here. It's like, yeah, we've got the idea, Sam.
Oh my God. I think he spent half the live stream in his rant / infomercial.
Yeah, he was. He was in pitching mode, bless him.
He was. He
I did
was.
say, I will point out, I said pitching with a P.
Not bitching mode.
Yeah, it was pitching.
He started bitching though. Let me just, I would say, like,
Hey,
his rant, I was like, okay,
who said
there's
that?
obviously, there's a nerve here we've hit. All right.
Oh,
So then
God.
he proceeds. I love that he wanted to show us the album cover, but the staff that were off to the side slapped his hand and was like, no, you can't do that.
You know the face that, because I mean, there was a few sort of looks to the side and, oh shit, I'm going to get shouted at if I do this.
Yeah, but I have to say, he talked about resting, that he
Yes.
really rested these last 4 months, that his condition is back and he needed time to heal his body and his soul. He's been eating healthy, gained some weight, and he's ready now. And I think, again, Kelly, like, things that you and I talked about with just
Yeah.
needing that time and
To look
knowing that
after
they were
himself.
knowing that they were like heads down,
Yeah.
working
I don't,
hard,
and may I just say, I do not fucking believe that he is rested for 4 months at all, because I don't think the man is capable of it.
I don't think he is either, but I think what we said in the last episode when we talked about his comment that he slept 20 hours after
Yes.
Rabbit to the Moon over his birthday. Like, I think at least in this last month, I think maybe he's given himself a little more time to rest, but I
Yeah,
agree.
I think so.
I think they obviously had to, when he finished his solo tour, they changed direction in the album. They had to just go into writing mode, recording mode, production mode, everything then business-wise. It's everything we said. It's everything we
Yeah.
said that
And
that's why they were so silent.
it's not a small task. I mean, I went to an event for the record label that I run on Wednesday, and I was talking to a lady that runs quite a decent sized PR company, and she was discussing the fact with a lot of the musicians that were there that if she was actually setting up the PR campaign for a new artist, she would actually want to know what the artist was doing when they were in the recording studio. That's when she would start planning hitting national and international press to sell the artist. So we're looking at 6 months out. That's what she was saying. And she was saying, 6 months out? What I could do with a bit longer. And God bless, one of the guys turned around and went, what's the shortest time you could do? And he was just like, oh, God bless. And it was so sweet. But yeah, I mean, whatever they've done, they've turned this around quick.
Yeah, so
Really
I
quick.
think that goes into something that you noticed. So this is kind of hot take number 1. So listeners, if you remember, Sammy then says, well, okay, what else could I do for you guys? I'm not going to mess up all the work the team's done to get the schedule prepared and spoil too much of that. I'm going to share the music because that's me. I was part of that. I can share the music.
Yeah.
So he gets his other phone and he starts to bring up the tracks, and then he starts to name how many tracks there are. And so if you notice, listeners, if you watch that back and you pay a lot more attention to the live, he starts counting. And once he gets to 6, like, he counts very confidently. But then past 6, he starts to count really fast, and then he looks past the camera at a staff member and kind of smiles. And he counts all the way up to like 14, and then he jokes and says, I can't tell you how many tracks. So I will admit, I was expecting a full-length album. You noticed in 2 press releases that actually came out today and yesterday. One is from kpopwise.com, which we have linked, and the other is from Korea Herald. So both of those are going to be linked in our episode description. Those articles actually refer to this as an EP.
Correct.
So Miss Marple. I think that might be your new nickname because you find
Miss
some
Marple.
amazing detective work here. Why don't you break down the difference, Kelly, between like an EP versus like a full length album? Why do we think it's, not a full length album then?
Okay, so traditionally you'll have a single, which is, as the name denotes, a single. You may have a double A side, which is a double single. So it's at 2 tracks. Then you have what they refer to as an EP. Now, an EP is generally no more than 5 or 6 tracks. Then anything above that, you kind of class as an album. Now, an album would normally be around 8 to 12 tracks. Don't get me wrong, if you're Guns N' Roses, you release Use Your Illusion 1 and Use Your Illusion 2, and there's 14 tracks on each, and you end up with this huge opus because they just can't edit anything. I think we're looking at a shorter playing album. I think we are looking at probably 6 tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Which would make more sense with the whole rewriting an album and getting it out. And the fact that and this is an official press release, by the way, that's gone out. So a press release, if anybody isn't aware, your PR person will send this out to all of the main music press, blogs, vlogs, influencers, anybody that possibly can. They send the information out, and traditionally it would be one side of A4 paper. I mean, obviously you send it in an email these days. You have a horizontal photograph, which will be of the band, which we will see, which is that absolute, and may I just point out, that beautifully shot daylight photograph that we've all seen. Whoever took that photograph, stunning, because the natural light in that, absolutely beautiful, and it was so well shot. Apart from the fact, why the hell was Dojon in bed?
Why was he so?
They run out of jeans.
Why is he in the back? You can barely see him.
You can't, but it does look like it's some slightly, I don't know. How shall I put this? It looks slightly homoerotic, charged. To be perfectly honest, there is a slight sort of, okay, what are those two doing at the back?
It was a little bit odd of like placement of him and Hajun. He's like so far back you can't even see him.
They make a lovely couple. Make a lovely couple. And if anybody's been watching What They Do in the Shadows, and you've seen the last episode, you'll know what I mean. But I think it's a fantastic photograph. But anyway, diverting and going back to what I was actually saying. So you'll have a really good photograph that has to show the band. It has to show what the ethos of the band is, the look of the band, and it kind of has to explain the mystique of what the music is.
Right.
So that photograph says a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the information of what the release is, when the release date is, what your embargo is, and then you have a mini biography if you are a new artist. If you are an established artist like The Rose, you have 2 or 3 paragraphs, and they normally have a quote in there as well. So it'll just be who you are, what you've achieved, what this next album is, what it's called, when, possibly when it's released, flavors, and then you'll just have a little quote. That is literally a press release, and that will have been sent out. So that's gone to K-Pop World, and that's also gone to the Korean Herald as well.
Right. So I think kind of what we're saying is, this is officially from The Rose saying that it's an EP. Yeah. I think, listeners, if you were like me and just kind of assumed maybe it was going to be a full-length album, something that was 10 tracks, 11 tracks, I don't think it is. I think it's going to be 6 tracks. He played quite a few of them, so I don't know that there'll be too many more.
We've had miscommunication so far on this.
Yeah.
Obviously, we discussed this at the beginning of the podcast. So, it can be another mistake. Humans are involved in this at the end of the day. But I think
maybe, but
I think the title of the email that went out is New EP. And I think that's why the information has been used thus as New EP.
Yeah.
I think basically what we would also refer to as a mini album.
Right. Right. And I think back to what you said, like they had 4 months. So I just don't think that's very realistic to, have to go in this completely new direction, rewrite everything and come out with, 11 or 12 like tracks. Like that doesn't seem
Yeah.
realistic either. So
You've always got ideas in the back of your head anyway.
yeah.
And you're not telling me that Sammy and Tojon were out on tour and they didn't write down ideas as they were touring, because they did. You do.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I've been sat at dinner with the guys, and we've been doing something, and then somebody will just go do like, quick, sing that down your phone, and then you end up writing a song while you sat eating dinner just because you've not seen each other for a couple of months.
Yeah.
It's one of those weird. It's just one of those weird things that happens. But yeah, there's 4 months. That's a quick. It's a quick turnaround.
I'm just gonna kind of riff on that a little bit as you say that. Like, here's our two. We said this before. Like, these are the two. I mean, everybody in the band certainly contributes to melodies and lyrics and everything. But I think these are our two creative directors of the group, right?
Yeah.
They were on tour together for a month and a half. Like, prior to that, they had a body of work that was quote unquote almost done, ready to release in February, put the polish on it once they come back from Sammy's tour. And so now I'm like thinking like they must have had some good conversations, some deep conversations, and maybe some of that led to like making this change, this different direction.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we'll get into where I think they're coming from with this in a little bit, but
yeah,
I don't even think it's brave. I think it's clever.
Yeah. I mean, they're smart. They are
Don't say that.
Oh,
Come
I
on,
know
the
you hate.
This too much. Stop it.
Well, they don't listen to this podcast anyway, so it doesn't matter.
True.
We can see.
That's true. We can slag them off all we want.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get into the tracks. So Sammy, I mean, like I said, he wanted that spoiler crown back, and so he went hard. He played 5 songs for us.
He went to the Tower of London.
He played 5 songs for us. I love Spoiler Sammy. I love him. It was kind of interesting because I think he kind of started off by trying to manage the expectations of Black Roses, saying it's more like the sound of childhood and the definition of ugly is than it is a sound like Back to Me or Lifeline or like Cosmo, some of those songs from Duel. The first song he played will be the 4th track on the album. The title he did say, it is called Tomorrow. Break down kind of what you heard in the melody in this one, Kelly.
So, I mean, melody, there is very definite hints of country in there, but I say country, we wouldn't call it country over here. We'd call it folk.
Yeah, I think folk music isn't very big as a genre in the United States, but yeah, I would call that folk music as well. I think it had more of a folk sound than country.
It's got more, I think country is probably a little bit more easier to explain to the American audience, because that is your folk music. I mean, sort of like in Europe, folk is a slightly different thing, a slightly broader spectrum as such. But to me, it's got folk in there.
Yeah.
You've got this really lovely acoustic guitar, which is very rhythmic. You've got the drum kit on there using brushes, which gives it a slight bluegrass feel to it. I got Mumford & Sons. I also got one of my favourite artists, Frank Turner, in there, but we're going to discuss Frank a bit more later on.
Yes.
I think it's a really good track. I mean, there's things like, you can listen to it. There's One Republic in there. We know they love One Republic. One Republic sort of have that, a kind of a country twang that just came up and it's kind of enveloped in their sound. I don't necessarily think it's their core sound, but it's there. And yeah, it's a really good thing, but it harks back to me. It's got that feeling of 1960s protest songs.
Yes. So let's break down the lyrics that we were able to hear. It says, "Our sun will kiss the ground. Take away these twisted lies and leave nothing but ashes. Chasing gold while hearts are being sold. The greedy ones and the other ones without hesitation." So I'm going to say again, Kelly, we said this in episode 1 of this podcast when we talked about rock music. And we talked about how rock music is a reflection of the current state of the world. And
Yes.
I completely agree with what you said. This harks on a 1960s political song. They have a fucking message to say in this song.
And you know what? I'm fucking proud of them for actually having the balls to do it, because how many other artists do?
Me too. I am so fucking proud of them. And I just think of like all the crazy shit that's happening in the United States, the crazy shit that's gone down in South Korea. In like both
Yeah.
of these countries, they just are seeing the political turmoil, the craziness of the world. And this is a message they're saying.
I mean, it's not. I'm everywhere, every single fucking country at the moment. Please excuse my French. Well, it's not French. Please excuse my Anglo-Saxon. Literally, literally is. There's some form of turmoil everywhere. There is social unrest in every single country. Thankfully, knock on wood, mine's quite a stable country. We just kick off every now and again, and and have a riot every now and again, and then just blow the dust, saying like, we're all right, we've had a riot, we're okay, and then we get back to normal. It's the great British way. You can see the entire world is being shaken by greed, stupidity, a lack of empathy, just sheer dogmatic rhetoric by people that should know better. And the worst thing is they wrap it up in the fact that, do you know what? You're going to pay less tax and you're going to be better off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't like getting political, but every now and again it makes me feel a bit like that.
I know, and I can't wait to hear the full lyrics of this song. I just keep going back to that. The line that hit me was I think it's Dojun that's singing it, and his lyrics are great. His vocal style is wonderful. Chasing gold while hearts are being sold. I think to what you said, the greed, and that is so prevalent in our society and in our politics right now. And yeah, I mean, again, kudos to you, the Rose, like the bravery and the heart. Sammy said this album has heart, and I think this song says it.
Absolute respect to them. Absolute respect.
Yeah,
I
absolute
can't say
respect.
anything more. I really, really do have so much respect for them to have the gall and audacity to go, you know what, fuck this shit, we're just going to say it anyway.
Yeah, fuck this shit. We're going to say it anyway. I know. I love it. So the second song he played, oh my God, Kelly. This is the blues guitar motif song.
What did I message you? Actually, I don't think you can technically say what I messaged you.
Yeah. So here again, I keep saying that this is the drinking game in this episode. Sorry, Hajun. It's how many times did we fucking say this on the podcast? Yeah. That's how many times you need to drink. And I don't even know what we're up to because it's got to be like 10 or more. We talked about Sammy's vocals in Happy Alone and how we were very candid about some of the challenges he's had with his vocals and that he is a natural blues singer.
Yeah.
And here we fucking are with this song.
May I just point out, though, I mean, we don't know what the vocals are of this. It's got to be blues based because of the guitars.
Yeah.
You can't start playing blues chords and then suddenly start doing a rap song. Well, I mean, you can,
or his falsetto. I don't think he's going head voice in this one.
No, I don't think he is. I think he's sitting in that really lovely, deep chest register that he's got, that beautiful warmth and fullness. And yeah, exactly. That
I'm
noise.
already getting tingly.
It's going to be tickly. The tickly bit.
What did you say? It's going to tickle. It's going to
tickle. The tickly bit. I was like, what the hell's tickle?
I was like, what the fuck does that mean? But I'm down.
Of course you're down, bloody Kim Delulu. Anyway.
Kim Woosung said he's going to tickle me. I'm down for that.
I'm gonna do an editor Kel bit here, but without actually editing it in. So if you've not noticed, we now have our website up and running, which is krockcast.com. And on there, you will notice there is, in fact, a merchandise page, which will be coming soon, which will have a selection of our worst quotes. And Kim Delulu will be on there somewhere.
I think we have to put the line, "Let me travel you." That was one of my Kim Delulu moments.
You're going to make me also have on there to be consensually pushed up against a wall and ravaged, but this feels a bit like having your bra fumbled with. One of my greatest moments.
That is one of your greatest moments.
I played that to my mum, and she literally sat there and went, "Oh my God."
Or when I described, or when I think another good moment is me describing AJ's song as having clap synths, and you said that sounds like something you go to the doctor for.
No, but I had to explain to you offline that, it sounds like something you go to the doctors for. In the UK, there is a slight sort of terminology used for a clinic that you have to go to if you have issues downstairs, and it is referred to as the clap clinic.
Oh my God. We have so many crazy one-liners.
Oh dear God. Anyway.
I don't even know how we got here. I think we were talking about Sammy tickling me, but we'll...
Yeah, we did, which is quite worrying. God, tickle me Elmo.
Sammy, keep your hands to yourself, buddy. Don't tickle anybody. All right, so back to the blues song.
Back to the blues guitar. Right, so may I just point out something? If you didn't know, obviously, I am very much a guitar-based girl and drums, and I love live music. I grew up with an obsession of blues guitar. So when I heard this, I was transported back to being 10-year-old and hearing Richie Sambora for the first time in Bon Jovi and being ever so slightly obsessed with him. Yeah, slightly worrying when you're 10-year-old. But anyway, I mean, it was all downhill. My mum knew she was in trouble. This is all I'm pointing out. There was never any boy bands. It went straight to long hair and tattoos. She knew it was going to be trouble from day one. She knew it. She knew it was going to be trouble. Anyway, that guitar is beautiful. Absolutely stunning. I literally got shivers down my spine when I heard it. It's fantastic. It's so beautifully played. It's so beautifully phrased. It is stunning. It has reminiscence of the traditional B.B. King, the Grandmaster himself. But there's Stevie Ray Vaughan in there. There's those beautiful, beautiful Steve Vai and people like that, and Joe Satriani, and that just depth and warmth. And I could wax. I mean, you're gonna have to stop me. I will wax lyrical literally about.
This is like the most you've ever complimented Sammy. We need to stop. I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone.
It's honestly, it is the most beautiful piece of guitar that I've heard him play.
Yeah. I am so excited for this track.
Hand on heart, it is stunning.
Yeah.
And please move on, because I'm gushing about it.
Yeah, you're only gonna keep going. So
No, I'm gonna have to start being mean now.
the third song he played, I'm calling it the acoustic song. And again, I don't know how many different reels I've put out there, and I know we've said it on the podcast of how we would love for them to do like an acoustic
Yeah.
album. So just hearing how much of the sound on this album is very, again, like you said, stripped back, acoustic. This is the one where we didn't get any lyrics, but he says that the album is heavily driven on lyrics, melody, and heart, the meaning behind their songs. What did
Our core fans, like the OG Black Roses, they're gonna love this album because it's heavily driven upon lyrics, melody for listening, and heart, and the meanings behind it, right?
did you hear kind of melody-wise with this acoustic one?
It was very reminiscent of the first track because part of me was a little bit like, actually, is that just a snippet from that? Because we're in a very similar ballpark with chord structure, timing, everything else. I do wonder if that's just another snippet of that song. It's not drastically different for it to be another song as such, but it could be. It could be completely different. It should be in a similar ballpark when you're playing it. You don't go from majors to minors and, you know, off tempos and unless of course you're a progressive band or you do the type of crap that I do. But it's you don't tend to, when you're writing, they write indie rock, but it's pop. It's popular indie rock that they write. So they're not going to deviate too much. They're not going to throw the kitchen sink in it like I do. But that's a different thing. So yeah, it was just a really lovely piece of guitar, that one. I think. And to be perfectly honest, they've got to get the money's worth out of that Taylor guitar they bought. Because trust me, Taylor guitars are expensive. I saw a beautiful one the other day and stood in the shop, drooled a little bit, and then had to back away when I saw the price tag.
Yeah. So I know it's kind of hard to tell, like you said, if it's the same, just a different section of that song or a completely different one. But I think I gravitated to hearing this sound again is exactly what I've been saying I want to hear from them. Because I think it's who they are. It's who they are in their roots. You know, they're a busking band, right? And when you busk, you don't have all of that production. It's just, you know, your voices and the instruments that you have there. I'm just so excited for kind of this direction. So the fourth song, this one has, you said this, Oasis was like, and I immediately thought of that sound too.
Yeah, it's Beatles, Oasis. I've got Definitely Maybe. It's that album period time. There's Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds in there. It's that sound. It's got that scale. And then obviously we heard a sneaky peek of lyrics out of it, and then Sammy cut it short.
Yeah, and I love it. Here we get this message. I don't care about what you say. There we go. Fuck the man. That's what I'm getting out of it. Like,
yeah, it is definitely.
Yeah, I love that. And then the final song he played, I'm not going to say this is my favorite because I need to give all the songs a listen and, you know, I'm only hearing snippets. But this snippet he played of this fifth track where he commented at, we have never heard Leo sound like this before.
Yeah.
And we had this instrumental that really was, you know, kind of led up to then Leo's vocals. You used this term when we were talking and I loved it. You said there's a level of intimacy in his vocals. And I was like, yes, because I felt like it hit me. Maybe that's the tickling that, I don't know. Maybe I got a little tingly. Like, I was like, ooh. You know, like,
I would describe it as intimate and vulnerable. And I don't think we're used to his voice sounding like that. Sammy's, yes, because Sammy's voice naturally lends to that with that rasp.
Yeah.
Dodon's, he's a stage singer. He belts it. You know, it gets thrown out, which is why you'll generally hear him sort of, I mean, even if he's kind of holding it back, it's still pushing it forward. And when he would have recorded this, he would have been up against the pop shield. He would literally have had his nose like buried into it. Okay, how do I describe this? It's kind of like whispering to a lover. And that's why it's so intimate.
Yes. I think when you're saying that, that's why I felt like this like tingliness. Like it is. It's just like he's like, yeah, it's like he's just like whispering to my heart.
Yeah, it's very personable. It's very direct to you when you sing in that way. And I don't really think we've ever kind of heard him sing like that.
I am so excited for this one. And his lyrics, he just says, "Counting stars, I close my eyes."
Which is lovely.
Kim Woosung. These are Kim Woosung lyrics, the poeticness.
Exactly. That's what I was just going to say. We know who's written this one.
Talking about stars, the man always talks about stars.
He does. And I say that as an astronomy girl. There's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with it. It's so poetic. It's just like my heart.
Here we go.
I know. If only you could see my face. I think I'm going to literally, until the album drops on May 30th, I'm going to listen to that clip on repeat. I just love it.
It is beautiful, and it has wedged in my head. Actually, all of the pieces that he played have wedged in my head. And that takes some doing.
It's going to be a beautiful album.
There's a lot of musical noise in my head from a lot of different places. So for them to be able to push those bits in and literally me finding that I'm waking up with an earworm as such is impressive. So well done, guys.
So this song, we said to us, I completely agree. It's very U2, With or Without You, from the Joshua Tree, album.
So this morning, I got in the shower and I suddenly started singing With or Without You, and I was like, oh, okay, there you go. So I got out the shower and got my phone and literally played Joshua Tree while I was getting ready.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, okay, yeah, I see where this is coming from.
Yeah.
I get this. There's that heart, there's that connection. There's a very similar sonic sound to it.
Mm-hmm.
So when you record an album, you always have albums that you sort of use as a sonic reference. To me, this is one that they could have possibly used as a reference album for that sound. The bass, no word of a lie, the bass literally sounds like, it sounds like he's played it. It's got that same sound to it. The guitars also got that sort of drone that the Edge uses as well. But you've got to bear in mind something with U2. U2 are, again, quite a political band.
They are. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, Sunday Bloody Sunday is one of my favourite songs of all time. I mean, don't get me wrong, With or Without You has a place in my heart, but Sunday Bloody Sunday, sure, honestly, that track that's strong.
Yeah, I mean, here we go, leaning into kind of this political focus, but not obvious, right? Like, I think it'll be subtle.
It's not, we're not in Rage Against the Machine territory here. Let me just put that out. This is people airing how they feel and what they are viewing and their empathy for the situation of the world and what is happening.
Right. And I think to what Sammy said, going back to that heart, right? This music has heart. It has a message. It has meaning. And then I think the last thing I wanted to point out is this resonated with me, Kelly, because again, we said multiple times on this podcast, we knew they were heads down. When all the other Black Roses are complaining, where are they? Why don't they come and say hi? Blah, blah, blah. We kept saying they are working. They are heads down. They're up to their neck in it. They need to focus. When they are ready, we are ready. We said that phrase. And then he kept saying it. He kept saying that they're ready. He literally kept saying that over and over again. He said, I needed some time, but I'm ready. The music's ready and my heart is ready. And I hope you're ready. And it like gave me goosebumps because I was like, my God, this is what we have been. Like, he's repeating back what we've been saying.
Yeah. I know.
That was weird.
I will keep coming more. I'm ready. I just needed some time. I'm ready. The music's ready. My heart's ready. And all we need is for you to be ready. So thank you guys. Be ready. Wake up, Black Roses. We're back. Tell everybody. Tell all your Black Roses friends. Tell all the Black Roses that the rose is motherfucking back, okay?
Then we get Dojun, who came on at like 11:57 Korean time, and the schedule was dropping at midnight on March 28th. Literally, he came on Instagram Live, and all he did was count down. And then I love the Black Rose that like made this reel where he gets louder and louder. He kind of did.
You did. It was like, it's 11:57. It's 11:58. It's 11:58. And he kept getting higher as well as he went on, which was even funnier.
And then he literally counted down and then went away.
Yeah, just turned off the live, and everybody was like,
what the fuck?
It's gone down. What's happening?
He looked good, though. We hadn't seen him.
He did. Yeah, he did. Bless him. It's
Yeah,
good. It's good. It's good to see him. Yeah.
It was good to see him. Yeah. Okay. So the next section we're going to go into is we're going to break down the comeback schedule. So if you guys haven't seen this, we've definitely put it out on our social media. It's all over the Roses social media. But I'll be kind of honest, I think it's kind of hard to read.
It's very hard to read.
It's extremely hard to read.
It literally looks like it's been taken off the Excel sheet and they've just removed the grids.
Yeah. It's like there's a lot on it. But I mean, this is where I do want to give respect to, I don't know all the names of the staff, but everybody that's involved in the behind the scenes with the Rose. I know they'll never listen to this podcast either, but I just want to give them a shout out and just say we recognize all the hard work that went into putting this together. As fans, we thank you. We're so excited for what's in store over these next couple months. And so, yeah, like thank you to the staff that work with the Rose that do all this work, because it's obviously been going on for a while, and you guys didn't have a lot of time either if they completely changed direction. So thank you for the long hours all of you have put in. So it kicked off on March 28th where we got the schedule. And then today, March 28th, we got a photosynthesis poster. So maybe we take a minute and talk about this poster.
Do we need to talk about the poster?
Okay. I had to okay. This is what's hard on this podcast. I wish people could see things visually sometimes, but I will set the stage. The four of them are in a line diagonal with Sammy, Jaehyun, Hajun, who looks like he's been like photoshopped in some weird way.
Weird morphing happening, yeah.
Please, that is not Hajuni. I know Hajuni's face.
Literally, all that goes through my head is it looks like something that they do on Zoolander just to annoy Derek Zoolander.
Stop it! You come out with the funniest shit. And then Dojun, they're in these red turtlenecks, and they have serious expressions. They're not smiling. They all have black hair.
It looks like, I'm not 100% sure whether it is their passport photographs or a mugshot.
It looks like a horrid passport photograph, which in Korea, by the way. Okay.
You said that. You said horrid passport photograph. I didn't
I'm
say
sorry.
That.
I love all of them, but they all look horrid in this picture.
It isn't the greatest.
So, do you know this? No. My friends, when we went to Korea in October, 2 of them did this. I did not do this because I thought it was a little suspect. But you can go to a place and get a altered passport photo where they like Photoshop you to no end.
Yeah.
And that is what this looks like. And somebody like, slipped on the whatever you use in Photoshop to shave and like did something weird with Ha-Jun's nose.
I'm so sorry.
They all look awful. They do. They look awful.
I know.
And then they're against a red background that matches their turtleneck, so it all kind of blends, and it just says photosynthesis. It says the tagline is, "This is the Rose's childish daily life." So this is gonna be the name of their docuseries. So we've said this before. They always put out a docuseries, which I love this kind of content. And we have to laugh at the O, the second O in photosynthesis. Sojun. It has Leo in the middle of the O with a rose in front of his face with this weird, funny, like, look on his face. It's hysterical.
I can't make my mind up if he looks like he's playing a flute. Or trying to eat the rose. I'm not sure what it is.
I think it looks like he's playing the flute with it. You're right.
Now this is where we need to just point something out, because we both said this. I remember as a kid, as a very little kid, watching reruns in the UK, because they love, honestly, even now we still get American reruns of everything all the time. But the Monkeys.
Yes.
We both looked at that and literally I had Hey Hey with the Monkeys going around my head.
I mean, I put that on our Instagram.
I know you did.
I did. I posted it a second time with that song in the background, and I was just like, I'm sorry, I can't help myself. I think what they were going for is an iconic album cover from the Beatles, which is their second album, released in 1963, in which the Beatles, they were in a different order, but they're in black turtlenecks with a black background with serious expressions on their face. So I think that's where they were going.
May I just point out, though, that looks a hell of a lot cooler.
I mean, yeah, I do think they missed the mark on this one.
Doesn't look like an accident in a ketchup factory.
Oh my God! I think I'm laughing as hard as when you said that Woosung looked like Christopher Robin.
Just piggy snorted.
Oh my God, a ketchup factory accident. Stop it. You come with the funniest
The worst thing is, right, so I popped over to Nottingham earlier today, and if anybody knows Nottingham, the centre of Nottingham, you can't drive in as such, so everybody uses the tram system. I was sat on the tram when this photograph came out, and I sort of giggled to myself. And then a little bit later, we started to see some of the absolute genius brains at work on the Rosarium. And the one that nearly got me in trouble on the tram was the genius one of where they changed it into a Star Trek poster.
Oh my God, that one is fucking hilarious.
I literally piggy snorted so loud that the entire carriage turned around and looked at me, and I had to apologize to them.
This is when I just hope the guys see shit like that. And it's like, I just want them to see that so bad.
So funny. It was so funny. And I mean, I'd literally got going through my head, it's like, which one's Scotty if they're wearing red?
Oh my God. Okay, which one is Scotty? I feel like it's Dojun for some reason, but I don't know why. I think what they were trying to like kind of convey is what we said, this sound of this 1960s folk, or just 1960s rock kind of. Yeah.
But I mean, I also did have another thought about this as well. So I think the reason that they may have actually sort of classed it as childish, I think there is a level of tongue-in-cheek in how it's set up. I think they know it looks the way it bloody looks, and they've done that for a reason.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I also have a slight sort of thing in the back of my head that does this actually relate back to Because we don't know I mean, these things take a while to record. A hell of a long time to record and edit and everything else. In fact, that will have taken almost as long as recording the album and everything else. Part of me actually wonders if this is in relationship to the start of what could have been the TikTok ban in the States. So obviously we know the guys always put the funny TikToks on. It's what they do, what they're known for. And they may have had to sort of pivot and possibly give it another avenue. You know, and it may have been easier to do it that way. I mean, we don't know whether or not they've done their usual TikToks and things like that, but to me, it kind of looks like a pastiche, a send up.
Yeah.
It looks a bit like a mockumentary.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, so we're gonna get, on March 31st, we are gonna get a teaser. So the Photosynthesis teaser is gonna get released on their YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So you're right. I think we don't know exactly what the spin, I mean, what they've done in their previous docuseries is it more chronicles the making of the music. So
yes, and it's always been very serious as well, hasn't it? It's always been very
so we'll
much the
see.
emotional ride of it. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll kind of see what this one is. So just to go through the rest of it, this is a big date is going to be April 2nd. I don't know when we'll release this episode. I guess it depends on Kelly, your ability to edit and get it out. This is a huge date, Black Roses. This is when the Once Upon a World tour poster announcement is coming. So we think this is going to be all the tour dates. This is huge.
Which will be a big bloody poster, to be honest. Sammy said earlier on in the live that this is for the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, he did say that.
I wonder if they're doing leg 1 and leg 2.
Yeah, maybe the tour announcement is leg 1.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Maybe it will just be through the rest of this year or something like that. Then we get the first episode of Photosynthesis on April 4th is released on their YouTube channel. The next big date to put on your calendar, I personally already took off work, is April 7th. This is when the pre-sale happens for the Once Upon a World tour. For any of our listeners that aren't familiar, haven't gone through this process before, the way that it will work is there is a icon on the Rosarium. You do need a membership. So if you do not have a membership, you should go ahead and sign up. It's a monthly fee. And you will sign up for a pre-sale code. That pre-sale code is then what you use through your local ticketing vendor. The link on where the ticketing site will be on the Rosarium. So you can really kind of do everything through the Rosarium app. I guess the pre-sales are going on that day. So you really only have about 5 days for us to figure out.
Not much.
I know, we've got to do a lot of coordination. What shows are we going to? We'll have to see where they are. Oh my. Then on April 8th, we get the album track list. So that'll be exciting. We'll see for sure when we get that track list if we were right or wrong. I guess we'll see.
It could be 16 tracks. It could easily be 16 tracks.
I doubt it. I think we're right with 6. I think that EP is accurate.
I think the EP kind of threw that a bit. Yeah.
April 10th is the general sale tickets. If you don't do pre-sale, you would do general sale for the Once Upon a World tour. That's on April 10th. On April 11th, we get episode 2 of Photosynthesis released on their YouTube channel. And then it really is every Friday. So it kind of goes in order. April 18th is episode 3, April 25th, episode 4, May 2nd, episode 5. And then on May 6th, we get the reveal of the album and the pre-sale starting. So that'll be really exciting. We'll get to see things like cover art and things of that nature. Then on May 9th, we have episode 6 of Photosynthesis. On May 13th, we get an album MD preview. I don't know what MD stands for. What does that mean? Do you know?
MD. I wondered if it was MV, if it was
I
meant to be music video. I did wonder if it was a typo.
No, I mean, unless my eyes are that bad, I did zoom in and I think it says MD, but I thought it would have said MV as well. On May 16th, we get episode 7 of Photosynthesis. May 23rd, we get episode 8. So there's going to be 8 episodes. That is what they did in the Bloom. They had 8 episodes, I believe, of that. So that's quite a bit of content. That's really exciting. Those docuseries are some of my favorite content. So I'm really looking forward to that. Then on May 27th, we get the World Album photo teaser. So these are probably going to be some concept photos, I guess. On May 29th, we get a World Album live clip. Ooh, I wonder if this is like them pre-recording something like they did in Joshua Tree when they recorded the acoustic of Time and of Shift.
Oh.
Then they say World Album live clip. On May 30th, World Album release, and May 31st, World Album lyric video. But they don't necessarily say an official music video.
No. I mean, these days you tend to do a lyric video as well as a music video as well.
Right. So I would have
You do tend to do
expected
both and a visualizer as well.
I would have expected a music video release.
Yeah.
Like maybe
I
that's
don't
the
know.
live clip. I don't know.
No idea.
Yeah.
Don't ask me. Don't ask me. I
All right,
don't know
so
anything.
let's go into photosynthesis. And this is our hot take here. This is the theory that I'm going to give all the credit to you, Kelly. Serious detective work here. So I actually put out on a couple of our platforms, saying we were doing this. Was there anything that fans wanted us to dig into? Any of our listeners, any of our followers? And one person did ask, Gun Live Life from Instagram said, I want a discussion about this photosynthesis thing. And I was wondering that too. So when I saw the name, coming through in the schedule, I thought, how peculiar. That's a very specific term that doesn't usually mean other things, right? It's not like a term that you can kind of
No, it doesn't.
use in different ways. It's a very
So-
specific science term.
Yeah. So, I mean, we can look at this sort of like in a couple of different ways before I get into sort of Scooby-Doo moment.
Yeah.
So, firstly, photosynthesis. The last lot of documentary series was in Bloom.
Yes.
So, it's the rose. They kind of want to keep it in context. Somebody didn't study biology. We'll say photosynthesis happens when the flower blooms. It doesn't. It happens in the leaves, but we won't get into that. God. You can tell I studied science at school. And
well, Sammy is not a biology major. He's a psych major, so give him a break.
It fits with the flow of the flower and the garden and and everything else. It fits within the ethos of the brand, shall we say.
Right.
So I get that. And I mean, there's also the other side of it as well. I mean, if you want to get into the poetical side of it, it's the stopping, it's the breathing, it's the exchanging of ideas, it's the growth, it's the development.
Right.
It's that type of thing. So, I mean, if you want to look at it that way, that all makes sense. And then we get into Scooby-Doo territory. Are you ready for Scooby-Doo territory?
Okay, tell our listeners your theory here. I'm so excited.
So, one of my favorite artists is a guy called Frank Turner, and he is a English punk. And the very first lot of stuff he was in, it was like hardcore punk and everything else. And he kind of turned his back on that and he moved to being a folk artist. Don't get me wrong, it's still got an edge of punk. I mean, we're on about Britain here. We don't do things lightly. If we're going to say something, we generally say it. And he's fantastic. So anybody gets the chance, listen to Frank Turner. The man is amazing. He's really good. He knows how to write a tune. He also knows how to express lyrics with meaning.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually going to see him at the beginning of April.
Yeah, that's so cool. You said
I
that.
know. Yeah, and I was in the car and I thought, do you know what? I'm gonna, you always do. I'm just gonna have a little bit of a brush up. It's a while since I've listened to him.
Right.
I know I'm soon, so I was listening to one of his albums, and a track called Photosynthesis came on, and I'd forgot all about this track because the album's been out a while. And it was like, oh, okay, photosynthesis. And I sort of looked at the screen in my car and I thought, okay, fair enough. Yeah. Then it started. I won't tell you what I said out loud. I did text Anne with what I said out loud, so that's why Anne's laughing. And I think the expression that went through my head was "holy shit."
This
Yeah.
song, I have been listening to it all day. I've just been like down this rabbit hole with this song. It was on his 2008 album called Love, Ire, and Song. And so sonically, let's just say that sonically, this is like the song we described that's called Tomorrow, that we said is very reminiscent of 1960s activism music, folk. It's very sonically like that. And then the message in this song, he says, like some of his lyrics, he says, I won't sit down, I won't shut up, and most of all, I will not grow up.
Grow up. Yeah.
And it's just look at that poster, right? It says photosynthesis and the rose and their childish, whatever the tagline was, childish day, a childish day in the life or whatever. And so, we talked about what we heard in those lyrics in Tomorrow, where they're talking about the greed and the state of the world. And I think that's what he was talking about a little bit in this song with, you growing. He's talking about like his own internal growth and kind of rejecting societal pressure and what the outside of society says I need to be or what I need to do. And being true to yourself. He talks about authenticity in this song. And I just could not get out of my head them deciding back to what we said at the beginning. They were on this path, right? Of continuing to rise, continuing to get bigger, right? And probably everybody's saying, do this, do this, do this. And I think this is them going back to rejecting all of that, going back to staying authentic to who they are, regardless of what people say on the outside is going to be a hit or what's going to get you on the Billboard Hot 100 or whatever. I feel like that's what this photosynthesis is a callback to. It's this song.
Frank Turner is an amazing artist. He is an activist. I mean, he's not an out-and-out activist, but his songs always have a message of freedom and hope. And he will call out things that he thinks are wrong in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very obvious from what Sammy shared with us that this is what's happening on this album.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like it, to me, back to like actually, right, the act of photosynthesis, it's taking light from this external source and then internalizing that and kind of converting it, feeding yourself, right? It gives a plant that energy.
Growing.
Yeah. And I think for the rose, I think for them, I think they take in the love and the connection with like their fans and their music, right? And they use that to drive their music, and they in turn, it feeds them, it's their nourishment, but then they in turn, as a plant gives off carbon dioxide, right? Like, or gives off oxygen, excuse me, to the world, they release their music back to the world. And I think that's why we said, I understand now why they're calling this album World and not Root.
Yeah.
So I will get over that, Sammy, I swear.
Yeah.
But
it's a symbiotic relationship at the end of the day.
It's a symbiotic relationship at the end of the day. Yeah.
It's in balance. It's in harmony.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense. But I must admit, when this track came on, and I was like, shit.
I think we cracked it. I think all the Black Roses are wondering what the hell photosynthesis means, but I feel like this is it. This is the Easter egg. This is like what nobody else realizes, and we fucking figured it out.
Is this because I sit watching a load of Marvel movies trying to work out where all the Easter eggs are all the time?
I know. And this is why I wish at some point they would maybe listen. I want them to know we know.
I love that. We know.
I want them to know we know.
We know.
We know. We get it. Remember when Hajuni was like, do you get it yet? Get it, Hajuni. I finally get it.
And we also have to talk about the little bit of artwork that he released as well. The tiny little snippet, because we've not mentioned that.
We haven't. It was like a circle with an X on the inside, very zoomed in.
I mean, to be perfectly honest, it was the X-Men logo. I did worry for a minute or two. You know, it's like, has he just drawn Wolverine and then he's, you know, not coloured in his belt or something?
Where do you think that fits in this?
I don't know. I do wonder whether or not he's done the artwork for it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been a lot of hints of him doing artwork during the, I don't want to say hiatus. It's not been a hiatus. They've been working their arse off all this time.
Yeah, I would say so. Right.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I kind of think he may have done some of the artwork. There may be something in there. And, you know, obviously he keeps going after somebody's title.
It's you, Hajuni. I haven't really, sung your praises enough this episode, but thank you for keeping us alive these last 4 months. Hajun's been like our companion.
He has. I think he's been like the rest of us. It's like, come on, are we getting on with this?
I just think like it makes so much more sense. Let's think of all the spoilers he gave us. He talked about nostalgia, right? So that's right back to their roots and that nostalgia of heel. And then he said they did the writing session in Busan. So when you and I talked about that in a previous episode, we said, what does that equate to? Home. Busan is home.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. They went back home. They went home to write this album. So Kat Bent from the Rosarium said, okay, what's with the red poster? And a bros referred to it as Oompa Loompa. So I think we've already talked about the photosynthesis poster.
Did you realise I've now got Jay doing the Oompa Loompa dance again?
I know, right? And then I think the other one came in from Instagram. Lila_Angelo asked, how long will it take to release the new work? We're excited and happy for the Rose to come back. So I think Lila, they have in the schedule that we went through. So May 30th is when the album release will officially come out. So it'll be available on all streaming sites. So you'll be able to start listening to all of the music. You'll be able to order. So the pre-sale is May 6th. So hopefully that gives time for things to ship. And I don't know how long. I will tell you, they stepped up their shipping game with the Rose Star. They shipped that quickly.
Yeah. That was quick. Yeah. I was almost impressed by that.
I was very impressed by that because I know Sammy's merch took months and his albums took a long time to ship, but hopefully the World album will ship pretty quickly.
You say that. I'm still waiting for my limited edition vinyl to turn up from Mondo, from a certain series that somebody did a voice in.
You know, I was wondering about that. So it still hasn't arrived?
It's been put back. That's now not shipping until April.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we can't really moan about the guy's shipping times because Mondo know better.
That's so. All right, is there anything else, Kelly? I know this is not a mini episode. I knew we'd have a lot to dig into.
No, this is a big fat episode that Kelly is now going to have to edit like mad to get it out. Literally, probably within a day. So guess what I'm doing tomorrow, folks?
Yay! All right, listeners, we hope you enjoyed this special episode. Into the Spoiler King. Sammy is back. The rose is motherfucking back.
Tell all the black roses that the rose is motherfucking back, okay?
Please rate our podcast. Leave us comments about this episode. We love to hear your feedback. Thank you so much for people who leave comments on Spotify or Apple Podcast. We really appreciate that. Follow us on social media. We are now on Instagram, TikTok, and X across all platforms. It's at KRock_cast.
Click here to subscribe.
Email us at krock.cast@gmail.com. And as Kelly teased earlier in the episode, we have a brand new website. It looks amazing. I am so excited about it. Please check it out. It's at krockcast.com. So excited for that. All right, everybody, we'll be back with our next official episode is Into the Red. So we're going to be talking about the Red single album, which that is a fun episode, to look out for that. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.